So for the second part, based on the location and transportation so distribution, we're gonna go through the way of the global location. Okay, global location is mean you try to, things about the presence not in the same country, right? To enhance your business. There are two keys factors that are very attractive for the globalization of the location consideration. The first one is about the trade agreement. The trade agreement is mean the agreement between two country, the country and the company as outside the country to want to do business. So if you have the free trade agreements, so it's gonna help that there is no barrier right, between or barrier to prevent the company outside to do business in that country. So the trade agreement might be the first one of the factor that attract the company or the organization outside the country to do business with. The second one is about the technology. So sometimes you require more advanced technology. You want the advanced in communication and IT thing, so that you need to select the location in that country or in that place. Okay. So these are two main things for global location factor that attract right, the company to do the global locations, trade agreement and technology. What are the benefits of doing the global location? For sure, it's going to enhance about the you have more market, right? You have the penetrate more than the existing market. You have other market to do business with. You can have like the cost savings. This is because you're gonna go into the places or the country that might help you to reduce about the labor cost or the transportation cost, something like that. You can get the benefit from the regulatory or the legal. Right? In your country, maybe you cannot do it, but in other countries, you can do that business. Financial, in the term of currency advantage, right, is might helpful for doing the business by using the global location. Okay, so this is the main benefit of doing the global location. You have more market. You can have the cost saving when you're doing the business. The advantages of the legal and regulatory and financial advantage in the term of currency exchange. And for these advantages, we also have it as well. It might be raised in the case of the transportation cost, because in some country, the area that you want to select to setting up the area that you're gonna select as a location to setting up might far, right? So you might have to take several route or using the several transportation mode to access to that place. For example, you might select the location as your raw material place. It's might far from the urban area, so you might take more about the transportation cost, security cost as well. You might have the good raw material from that country, but the safety or the security is maybe you have the risk, right? In the past, you can see that you have like a parrot, right? The Somalian parrot. So that is like an example. In the past 10 years ago, that they have like a security problem when you're doing business outside or in other country. Unskilled labor, right? This might be come from with the very cheap cost of the labor. You have the labor cost lower, but this might come from with the unskilled labor. So this is quite the trade-off as well, because they have unskilled, so that's why you gotta pay less for them. Import restriction. You might have the restriction in the case that you're gonna import, right, some part or some raw material into the country, right? So they have the different role, different custom role, that's kind of things. And the criticism of the locating out of the country, right? It's just like that you are not love your country while you're doing the business outside, but not doing inside, in order to generate revenue for our people, while you're going to do the business outside in other country to give the revenue, give the benefit for those people out of our country, while not doing our country, those kind of things. So the criticism that might be have, right? So it's just like another thing that we can take is at the disadvantages of global location. Okay. How about the risk, right? This is the list of risks that you might aware, right? It's a risk factor that related to the political instability and unrest, right? Yes, this might have some problem in the country that you have the political issue, right? Because you change the government, right? You change the government, you change the rule, you change the regulation, right? So that's my impact the business. Tourism, right? Is just like nowadays you can see right now. Today is in Norway, it's have like you cannot say like a sniper or something. Start. Yesterday is in Netherlands, right? The day before is in New Zealand, right? That's have a 40 days that form the tourism, right? Tourism. So this is quite another risk, right? Economic instabilities, right? So it's our control because it's not our country. And the regulation, legal that might be changed from the other people that they change the government, as I mentioned. Ethical consideration, right? It depends. Ethical is also come from with the cultural differences as well, because we have different culture, we have the different attitudes, so you may have different mindset or attitude. Something that you're doing business in your country is good, it's not that bad, but doing the same way in another country, maybe you have like some issue about ethical or issue about the cultural that different. Cultural is quite important impact, right, for the risk, right, when you have the global location. Not just only the way that you select the location in the term of operation of the business, but also in the term of the customer. Right, you have the different customer that have different culture. Like the customer is also different, right, based on the culture. Right? For example, I have a close friend with a German professor. When we have lunch or dinner, we also have something that we can see this is a different culture. For example, for Thai people, right, when you have dinner, when you want good friend, you go to have dinner, you go to the restaurant, right? Probably when you go to the restaurant, you have like the main dishes at the center to sharing for all the people, for all the friends at the same table. But for German, they also prefer just the portion of them, just like this is mine. You make all day just for them, right? And take like something like the courses, like this is for me. This is you, so we are not involved, we are not sharing. So we're also talking about this thing with my German friend that this is quite different. So sometimes you might I think it's cultural differences is very important when you do business. So like the location, not just with the customer that have different culture, even though the college, right? You might doing the business and you have the colleagues come from Italy, or maybe the Germans or Korean is different. Right? Even though that the time in time, on time is very different. But for my friend German, if you come early, it's not good. They prefer very sharp on time. Right? So they're different. Right? But anyway, this is a risk, right? And also, if you want to managing the operation go in the global way, because you have the different location as a global location. Okay, this is like the implication that you need to have for managerial skill. First, for sure, it's about the language and cultural differences that you might aware of. Right? Risk of miscommunication because you have different attitude, different culture, different mindsets. So it's my difference, right? You need to development of the trust between, right, or among different countries. Management style might different. Some country is like output oriented. Some country might, okay, very strict on the rule. Work hard, play hard. Right? Some countries might like very chill. I don't know, but so for example, Italy. I heard that, but I don't know if it's the real one or not. That the time that they're working is just not that long for a day. Finish at 2 or 3. And the culture is not that similar to the German, even though they come from the Europe as well, so different. Japanese for sure, right? Working hard, right? And they have like after working, they enjoy party. I don't know, right? Drinking.
Yep. Sure.
Am I correct?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's quite work hard, play hard, and things that very concentrate when you work, right? But for Thailand, it's different at least. They also have the drink, not even though after the work, right? So that's it. And another thing is about the management style. I mentioned about the style and the corruption, right? It might be some drawback. You can see, right, even though the policy of the government, right, for Venezuela, right, this is quite scary, so we don't want that to happen. Right? And the increase of the travel or related costs, yes, for sure, because you have the global location, you need to travel, you pay more for the travel and for the transportation, the related costs in this case. The challenge when you try to managing the operation that's far away from you, right? So what are you gonna do? Right? Because even though that you have the different culture, you also have the different time zone, right? Different time zone. I believe that almost all you have the experience when you have like a conference call or the meetings conference, right? Meeting at morning 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Because in US it might be, different time zone with us, right? So something like that. And the level of technology that might be not the same. Right? And again, domestic personnel might resist relocating even the temporarily, because okay, everyone no fear for the change. Right? Sometimes you need to relocate, right? You work from domestics to working in other country, but you have might be some problem because they have family here. They don't want to move because they are concerned or they aware for that thing, those things. So this is quite another problem that might happen. So step for decision, okay. For the global things. Okay, first you need to make the design of the criteria that you're going to use to evaluate the location alternatives. So what or which are the criteria that you prefer or you want as a priority and use for evaluate the location alternatives. Identify the important factor, right, such as raw material, location, or location of the market. And then you develop the alternative, right? So identify the country, right, that you're going to use for the location. define the region, or even though the small number of communities, and also the site related or site alternative of that communities. And then you evaluate all alternative and make the decision. Quite simple, quite simple. But when you try to identify, it's not the easy task. Right? You need to survey, you need to gather the information. This is a list of identifying a country, though the factor that might be related to your global location. You might think about the stability issue, might think about the policy of the government, might think about the living circumstance for the foreign worker, or the level of the trainings and or the wage rate or the salary rate, like the differences, tax rate, inflation rate, right? Or whether the competition or the safety factor. Okay, so this is the list of the factor that related to the global location. Okay, now we're gonna move to the part of a little bit calculation. Or some of them you know already from the other method that's quite similar. Right? We start with the which are the way that we can use as a technique to evaluate the location alternative. The common technique is including about the cost volume, profit analysis, factor analysis, transportation model, and central counting. For the transportation model, this is the one that you can study in the course of modeling. Okay, calculation. We are not concentrate on that part, right? But for today, we're gonna go to just 3 of them: cost volume profit analysis, factor rating, and central counties. Okay, look at the first one, like cost profit volume analysis. For the cost profit volume analysis, it's just there are very simple way that you just calculate the total cost, right, by combining the fixed cost and variable cost related to that alternative for your location. Right? And for sure that you have the several alternatives. So when you calculate, right, you think that the term of total cost is equal to the fixed cost plus variable cost. Since the variable cost is directly related to the number of units that you're going to produce, and the fixed cost is constant, right? So the equation of the total cost might be like a linear line, right, that have the different slope because you have different variable costs. So then you try to plotting, right, the total cost line from all the alternatives on the same graph. And then you can see that, okay, which location that have the lowest total cost, but it's not dominant for all the possible units that you're going to produce. It's just some, right? Just some range. In the different range, maybe you have another alternative that dominates, not the previous one. So the idea is that you need to draw in the graph from all alternatives on the same graph, right? And we also have the assumption for the cost profit volume analysis. Fixed costs are constant, right? No matter what your output is, you have the constant fixed cost. Variable cost is the linear and directly related to the output or the unit that you can produce. We also have the assumption that the level of the output very closely to estimated, and only one product is involved. It's just like the way that you see in the in the chapter of the capacity in the previous course. So we have the total cost for the fixed cost plus variable cost multiplied by the quantity of the output. And then for sure, this is like the linear line cost, right, as a total cost. And then you're plotting all the alternatives on the same graph. You're going to have the cutting point. And based on the cutting point, it's going to provide you the range on which, right, total cost that dominate for that specific rate. Right? For example, if I have like the location A, the fixed cost is 250,000 per year. Variable cost per unit is $11. Location B, we have the different fixed cost is at $100,000. Variable cost per unit is 30. C, $150,000 as a fixed cost, $20 as a variable cost, and the last one, location D, $200,000 for fixed cost and $35 for variable cost. In this case, once again, if you look at this, again, you might not know which one is the best location if you consider from the total cost. You might think that, okay, for compromising, C might be the best one, but actually it's not, because we don't know yet. It's based on the number of units that you consider. So if you consider the unit to produce just like 10,000, yes, we multiply 10,000 with the variable cost, and then you can combine with the fixed cost, you're gonna have the total cost. In this case, C is the best. But how about the difference output, the output unit? If it's not $10,000, still C is the best one? We don't know. So that's why we need to, plotting the graph, right? Plotting the graph to see that which way that for specific alternative that dominate others. So in this case, that's very clear that why $10,000, right, is the C is dominant because it provides the lowest cost. But if you have the number of units just as the 12,000, C is not the one that dominates. A, right, is the lowest one. Or if you have the number of units to consider around, 4,000 or 2,000, right, at the end, right, you can see B is the one that's superior or provide the lowest cost. So this is the very simple way. The first method to evaluate the alternative is just calculate the total cost. But the problem is, if you're using this method, right, it means that you need to list and very detailed about the cost. Right? What are the costs that you're going to include, fixed cost, variable cost, right? And consider by very detailed, right? And then once you have the variable cost per unit, you have the fixed cost, then you can plotting the graph and you can know which one is the best option. Another method, okay, this one, for example, this is like the same example. I show you that, okay, B, C, or A, right? It depends on the number of units. That you have the different number of units, you're going to have the different solution. You have different number, you have different solution. And how about another method that we call the transportation model and the factor weighting? For the transportation model, it's just like the way that you try to find the option that you deliver from the supply side, right, at the sources to the demand side. And how many units that you're gonna deliver from sources to the demand side. We can study in the course of modeling, is the transportation problem. But the keyword of the transportation is that you need to have the estimate of the unit shipping cost or unit profit, whatever problem is maximized or minimized. Normally it's minimized, very detailed again, in order to calculate it per unit. The transportation model normally is directly related to the number of units that you can deliver. If you deliver more, you pay more cost. And we are not covered in our cost now. You can study in another cost, like transportation model. So the next method, right? That just want to remind you that for the transportation model, we try to find the option that deliver the product from supply side to demand side that provide the total minimum transportation cost. You need to initiate and keep having the unit shipping cost and use this for calculate. Right? And for the third evaluation method, we call the factor weighting. The factor rating is just the method that combine qualitative and quantitative things together. Because we still need the calculation, so as a quantitative, we do a calculate. But we need the qualitative input in order to identify the factor that you're going to consider to evaluate it. For example, for the factor rating, right? If you, this is the most popular one, right? For evaluate the location because it's combined both quantitative and qualitative input. So first, you need to determine factor that relevant to your analysis. So for example, you might consider to be select the location from two countries, let's say. You need to think that what are the factors that relevant to your decision and you think is very important. You might list about the tax, you might list about the close to the customer or whatsoever. So add your factor. This is the first one for the first procedure. Determine the factors that are relevant to your decision. And then you need to assign the weight to each factor. And for sure that when you have several factors, you assign the weight for all of them. But please make sure that when you assign the weight, and then sum up all the weight along with all the factors need to be equal to 1. So it's just like the weighted average. So it might have the different weight between or among the factor. So in this case, you might need to using the comments or the opinion from the expert person that okay, which of or the one that really involved into your decision that okay, which factor that you're gonna giving more weight, and how about that, how much that you're gonna give for each of them, and the weight, the total weight need to sum up into 1. And then you develop the scale for all the factors, setting the minimum acceptable score if necessary. Scale we might use 0 to 10 or 0 to 100. That's depend on you. And then among the set of locations that you consider to be your alternative, you giving the score, right, from 0 to 100 or 0 to 10 for each factor that how this score, how much that they're gonna getting, right? And then you multiply the factor with the weight, right? And then you sum up. So the location as the alternative that has the highest, right? Composite of the score that multiply with the weight, sum up. It's gonna be the one that you might think first. Right? For example, this is the factor rating. You have 2 alternatives, and you might think about okay, the company is a photo processing company, or you might think that they have like gonna open the new branch store. This is the list of the factors that the things is important, including like the traffic volume, layout, operating cost, something like that. And then they assign the weight, right? So in this case, the rental cost is the most highest grade score, 0.4 or 40%. And the traffic volume is the lowest one, 5%. And then for these 2 alternative 1 and alternative 2, then you giving the score based on 0 to 100, that for each factor, how many score that you're gonna provide for them. And then you multiply, right, the weight with the score, right? So in this case, you're using the weight multiplied with the score for each alternative, right? And then you sum up for each of them. So finally, in this case, you can have the first alternative score, total score, after you combine with multiply with the weight and sum up, you have 70.6. And the second one is 82.7. So in this case, 82.7 is a greater value than 70.6. So based on the factor rating method, right, you might choose the alternative 2 because it provides the highest score. Right. So this is why the popular method, right, because you just think that okay, what kind of factor that is important, and then you give the score anyway. But the next one is the more calculation method. Is normally is used for locating a distribution center, right? In order to minimize the total distribution cost, we call method of the center of gravity method. The center of gravity method is just like the method that some of you might study when you have studied in the bachelor degree, if you study in the science or engineering. It's used the distribution called as the linear function of the distance and quantity of chip, right? So the quantity to be shipped for each destination is assumed to be fixed, right? And also you need to use in the map to showing the location for each of the destination, and then it's the scale, right? And the coordination system that you develop on the map and determine the location for each of them. So the center of gravity method is just you need to use in the map because you need to generate the coordination for each destination. Right? Don't forget that this method we use for locating the distribution center. As I mentioned, distribution center should be the one that in generally or on average is close to every destination because we want to have the lowest transportation cost. So what you're going to do, right? You place the exiting location on the coordination grid, right? And the origin and scale is arbitrary, so it depends on you. But normally I prefer to have the positive coordination. So I might we might using like the origins at the bottom left for the map, and then you estimate the coordination horizontal x and vertical y coordination for each of the destination, and then you're using the cost and number of units that you're going to choose to calculate based on that coordination. For example, in this case, first, right, this is the map, right? You have the map on the left-hand side, and then you develop, right, arbitrarily of your axis. For example, I want the coordination to be all positive because it's easier to calculate. So then from the map, I'm just drawing the exiting, drawing the axis, right, to use to project the coordination for each destination. This is depend on you. If you don't want to have this one, you're gonna have this one, that's fine. But the coordination is gonna negative. So it doesn't make sense. So normally we're gonna have like the bottom left as an origin, and then you project the distance, right? X distance and the horizontal and Y distance for the vertical to specify the coordination for each destination. And the center of gravity is based on the calculation. It's gonna tell you that based on the distance or the coordination for each destination, and also the number of units that you're gonna ship for each destination, where is to be the location that's suitable to locate or setting up your distribution center. In this case, is at the project form there exists to be 5-4. Right? Yeah, 5-4, not that 5-4, but at that cutting point. Okay, we have the example. This is a formula, right? So the formula of the center of gravity is just you need to calculate, right? Like the mean or the average of coordination x and y. If you look at the formula, it's just the average of the x coordination is calculated by you sum all the x coordination from all destinations and then divided by n number of destinations. Y is as well. In this case, this is the way that you think that you're gonna ship to every location with the equally quantity. Okay. For this formula, it's just for the case that you deliver the products to each location equally quantity. So then you just using the sum of x coordination and then divided by n number of location, and sum of y coordination and then divided by n number of destination. So then you're gonna have the coordination of x bar and y bar. For example, in this case, suppose that for each destination D1, D2, D3, D4, I'm gonna deliver the product from distribution center to each of them equally. So then the coordination that's suitable for the distribution center, then you sum up all the x coordination, in this case 2, right, plus 3, plus 5, plus 8, you have 18. And then divided by the number of destination, in this case it's 4, you have 4.5. And we doing the same way in the case of y coordination, right? So you sum up all the distance of y, 2 plus 5 plus 4 plus 5, you have 16. And then using 16 divided by 4, the number of destination, you have 4. So now the central gravity is 4.5 and 4, that you can see in the figure C, 4.5 and 4. But this is the intersection that you have the arrow. So this is the suitable place for the distribution center. So in the real world, if you calculate based on the map and we have this position, what we're gonna do? At least we can know that it's located in which state or which city, right? And then we try to find to setting up on that city or that area. At least is have the show that it's gonna have the around the center of all the destination, when we consider equally the unit that we're gonna deliver to each of them. But however, if you have the quantity, that you're gonna ship your product to each destination are unequal, so you need to change the formula a little bit. Instead of you just sum up all the x coordination or y coordination. In this case, since you deliver the product to each destination unequal, so you just multiply, right, x coordination with the amount of the quantity of that destination, and you sum up all destination and divide it by amount of the quantity that you're going to deliver. We do the same way for the y coordination. Summation of y coordination multiplied with the quantity, sum up, right, and then divided by the total quantity that you deliver. So, for example, in this case, let's say that I have the list of 4 of my customers that I'm gonna ship my products to these 4 places: Chicago, New York, Pittsburgh, and Atlanta. So then I arbitrarily have the excess, right? Based on the excess that I'm setting up, I'm trying to project to find the x and y coordination for each destination. Okay, and I have Atlanta is on, and it has 60, 40, Chicago 30, 20, something like that. And after I have the coordination for each location, since I have the information that, okay, each location we have unequal quantity to deliver the product to. Chicago, we need to deliver 2,000 units, but for Pittsburgh, just 1,000, same as New York. And for Atlanta, it's 2,000. So then from the formula, right, we try to find x coordinate and y coordinate. For x coordinate, we just using the number of units multiplied with the x coordination for that destination and sum up all together, and then divided by the total quantity that we can deliver to all the destinations. So in this case, you can have 66.7. For y coordination as well, you're using the distance from y coordination multiplied with the quantities, and you sum up for all of them divided by the total number of quantities. So then you're going to have 93.3. So in this case, you just go back to the axis and try to spot the mark that, okay, the location that go to the x the distance 66.7 and y 93.3 is rises at the mark on that place. So that position on the map or on the axis is going to be the suitable location that we're going to setting up the distribution center. So actually, it's using just only this formula. But if you deliver equally, you just eliminate both of them, right? So you have like the divided form. So this is the detail for location, transportation, and distribution. Okay, and for next week, we're gonna have the case study, right? The report. Right? Today we still have no case study. I know that is quite a lot. 20 pages or 30. For next week, let me check. For next week, it's gonna be like the where I might think about the inventory. Yeah. Okay. So that's it for today. Because we have no case. Okay, and don't forget that since for next 2 weeks on April 2nd we have no class because I'm going aboard since March 28th. And we change. I already told you right that we change the making up class today. Okay. Okay. See you next week.